I still forgot to say breath also, of course. Oxygen is also needed for the fire. So if you reduce your breathing rate, if you keep your breathing rate at a relatively low pace, breathe deeply but not too fast, that will also very much help to reduce anger. And like I said last time, I think, if you stop breath, then mind will stop. Then likewise you can say, if you stop breath, then anger will stop. So if you really stop breathing, if you really hold your breath, then your anger will go down. Because very rapidly the fire will no longer have any oxygen. And so if that is a practice which you already know how to do, if you've been doing lots of pranayama, then you can easily stop breathing for 1 minute, then very easy way to get rid of the anger. And then work with it. No? I'm not saying get rid of it and completely in that way forget about whatever happened, but at least get the energy down, get the mood a little bit more calm, so that you can work with it in a more constructive way. Anger is very destructive. You hit somebody, or you hurt them in an emotional way. No? So if you want to keep the relationship, then better first a little bit cool down, and then maybe talk about whatever is going wrong, no? in a more peaceful way. So now, all I've been saying now are little games, little tricks, but now we come a little bit more to the essence of what anger really is and where it really comes from. And actually you can say that all anger comes from unfulfilled expectation. And I can make a very simple example that will make it clear. If every day when you go to work with your car, you are in a traffic jam, this is not going to make you irritated. Because you know it's going to happen every day. It's the same thing. And maybe you are used to putting on the radio or something and just spend that half hour there in a traffic jam. Okay, nothing wrong. But many people get irritated when an unexpected traffic jam comes. They're going somewhere, they don't expect any traffic jam, and just coming around the corner, oh God, I'm not going to say it, but so they become irritated, angry. I mean, it depends on the person. Some people also will say, okay, no problem. But, the difference there is quite clear. In one case, it was expected. In the other case, it was not expected. And because it still happened, they become angry. But of course, unexpected traffic jams also happen. No? So somehow you should always expect them to happen, in the sense that whenever you take the car somewhere, you know it's going to happen. So if you live like that, if you expect nothing and everything, then anger will go down. That is the key element. If you can stop what you expect from life, then very easily anger will go down. So this is much more on the level of your ego, on the level of how you look at life, how you live your life. Whenever you see yourself expecting something, better say, okay, let's not expect it. Maybe hope it. But even then, hope is nothing much better than expectation in a disguise. No? You are hoping this will happen. No? Maybe you buy a lottery ticket and you hope you're going to win €1 million or something. But in that hope, there is still a little bit of expectation that it will happen. You see it in front of your eyes, more or less, how you're going to get this €1 million. And so then nothing there. Oh. little irritated you get. No? So you cannot expect anything. I mean, you just have to look back in your life. Whatever happened, all these things happened which you did not expect. Okay, some things you may have planned, some things you may have expected, but a lot of things happened which you did not expect. Like most people find their job in a way they did not expect, or find their loved one in a way that they did not expect. There's so many things you don't expect and they still happen. So if you change your view on life and you don't expect much to happen or not to happen, then not so much anger will come. But of course, the people that you love the most are the people from whom you expect the most. So they can also make you the most angry. If somebody on the street whom you don't know tells you for some reason you are stupid, then you're going to maybe a little anger will come, but you will not think about it 1 hour later. It's just a stupid guy, don't know him, whether he's crazy, whatever, But if somebody you know very well and love and have a relationship with tells you you are stupid, then this is going to come like, because you don't expect that person to say something like that. No? So from the people that are near and dear to us, we expect a lot more. And even there, you have to a little bit be careful. Because even the people that you know very well, you don't really know very well. And I can put it in a different way also. Think about the person that knows you the best from your whole life, maybe it's your mother or your partner or whoever. And then ask yourself, how well does this person know me? And you will find that, okay, this person may know a lot about you. Many things still, this person has no idea what is going on inside you, what has happened to you, and all these things. So even your dearest friend and partner and everything, they are strangers to you. Maybe less than other people, but still they are strangers to you. So what are you going to expect? And they can also change. Like you don't expect them to call you stupid every day, sure. But maybe one day they are having a bad day. And they are acting out of, how you say that, out of tune, not normal. They're a little bit like over the edge, and they call you stupid. Then you have to say, okay, I didn't expect it, but okay, yes, sure, what is there to expect? Tomorrow, she'll be okay again, and okay. No? It's all not so easy, no? That part. That really requires work, no? To stop expecting things from people, but really, you don't even know yourself. How often do you surprise yourself? It's very often that, something happens and you think, oh, I did this. Or I was able to do that, or, in a positive sense or in a negative sense, you can surprise yourself. So you don't even know yourself. You can't even expect anything from yourself, so what are you going to expect from other people? So if you get up in the morning and you expect nothing, if you meet a person and you expect nothing, if you do something and you expect nothing to come from it, then these problems of anger will very fundamentally go. Once you then a little bit work with that, and you have this habit, or maybe you already have it, of not often being angry, then you get also more attached to not being angry. And you get more understanding about, like, say, the cost of anger. Like, if somebody steals 50 euros from you, like a good friend steals 50 euros, how long are you going to be angry? If it's a good friend, you might be angry for a week, or a couple of days at least. No? You don't expect that from a good friend. They steal money out of your pocket. No? But if I would ask you, okay, I give you 50 euros. If for 1 week you are angry, nobody here will do it. That's too cheap. You maybe want 500 euros for that. Because being angry is an unhappy feeling. Nobody says, okay, we have a holiday, let's be angry for a week, it's great fun, No, it's very, it tears you up inside. It's very destructive. It's not a nice feeling at all. So as you develop, that actually becomes so important. There is a little problem, and you understand that if you're going to get angry about it, this problem is only going to become bigger. And there are other ways to deal with it rather than becoming angry. So if you lose 50 euros, why spend, let's say, 1 day in anger? Because how much money is that worth? I mean, if you put it in money. So in that way, that is also like how it very much happened for me. After some time, all this theory was not so important anymore. I just didn't want to get angry anymore. I just felt, what's the use? I wanted to stay out of it. So gradually this becomes like that. But it's of course very essential also to understand that everything that we want is to be happy. Everything that we do, we want it for being happy. So why get unhappy? No? If you can avoid it, if you can, have that mastery, have that control, which is something you can learn, and we'll talk more about it, to do it. No? Also understanding that in anger, there is the, let's say, fierce person who feels disrespected, but there's also the little poor me ego, which feels disrespected and then feels anger is necessary to, do something about it. And that is maybe less there if you are angry like in a short time, in a like fiery way, but it's very much there when you are angry on a longer term. If something happens and you don't really talk about it, but you keep it inside for a long time, it's burning there, and the poor me ego is keeping it alive. It's then not the ego who wants revenge, who wants to hit back. It's the ego who says, oh, look at me, they did all these bad things to me. And that, and you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, why it is bad and so on, inside of you. That is another type of ego which may be looking less like the ego, but is also the ego. That is what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body. He calls that the pain body. It's also an attachment. You are attached to this anger because it gives you a certain identity. The ego is always trying to get identity. And if you are feeling very good and very rich and very beautiful, then you will attach to that. But if you're not feeling very good and not very rich and not very beautiful, then you're going to attach to all your problems. And you say, oh, I'm important because they did this to me, and I'm important because I don't have any money, and I'm important because I'm very ill, and all these things. So that's also the ego. It's another form of the ego, but very much also the ego, and maybe even more persistent than that other ego. More easily undetected, more easily behind the scene, behind the curtain, working inside of you. So also understanding that is important if you want to fight the anger. And so you have to detach from your anger consciously. You have to really understand this, see this attachment game, and drop it, and let it go, and find another way. And then so we have to come to the question, okay, then how? How can we actually do that? And there is one fantastic example, which is Mahatma Gandhi, very well known. And so he was an Indian person. At some time he was in South Africa, where there was still the apartheid, the very much like racist system. And he was seeing that. And he was seeing actually there the same thing as he was seeing in India, but in a more extreme way. Because also in India the British were like oppressing the people, but not in such an extent as it was happening in South Africa. So he became very aware of that. And then one day he went to take a train, and in this train there was some part which was only for white people, and then some part was for colored people. So he went into the part for white people only, and they threw him out. They threw him off the train. At that moment he became very angry, and he realized, oh, this cannot be. So I need a way to work with this. I cannot let this injustice be. I have to do something about it. But I also cannot be angry, because he was a householder yogi. He cannot, be angry all the time. This is not possible for him. No? If you are angry, you can't meditate. If you are angry, how are you going to sing your morning prayers to God? It's not possible. No? So for him, there's a dilemma, and he said, okay, I will have two weapons to do this fight. And he wanted to dedicate his whole life to this fight, and that's also what he did. And his two weapons were Satya and Ahimsa. Satya means truth, and Ahimsa means non-violence. So non-violence actually is what we know most of him. In a way, he is the father of non-violent resistance. After him, many other movements came that in a peaceful way demonstrated and did all sorts of things to change something in society. This was something new that he brought. But Satya is often forgotten, but Satya is also, of course, very important. To stand for the truth, not to make any compromises, not to be weak, not to shut your mouth. If you see something which is wrong, okay, say it, but without violence. Without violence in words, deeds, or thoughts. And in that, his life story is so fantastic, because even though he was like fighting the British in every level he could, he never hated them. And he always made sure that the people around him would never say bad things about the British. They would say bad things about what the British were doing. Sure, that they could do very strongly. But never put it, like on the person, never attack the person, always be loving and kind and so on, but very clearly saying, okay, you're a very nice person, but this is wrong, and this has to change. And so gradually he could make it that finally India became independent, and he could do it, but he did not allow or try to stop his followers from using any violence. And whenever they would, because some Indian people really became upset with the situation and there would be fights in the streets and all that, and then he would fast. And he would say, I'm fasting, I'm not eating until the violence stops. And because everybody loved him so very much, then yes, the fighting stopped. And again, there could be a negotiation, and finally he got what he wanted. So this is a very, very great example. Gandhi, Satya and Ahimsa. So this is how you can do it. You are straightforward. Straightforward is very important. If you feel that you are maybe a little bit a shy person, not really so good at expressing your idea, not really so good at defending yourself, then I don't suggest that you try very much to reduce your anger. Because then very often you will need this anger to be straightforward. Many people are like that. They have to bottle it up for a long time until they burst, and then finally they say what they like or don't like or want or not want or are clear about it. So if you are there, then okay, first work that out. First become more confident, more straightforward. This is then the first thing to do. And if you need a little anger for that, okay, no problem. To really get the anger down, you need to be straightforward, naturally by yourself, and not be afraid to give your opinion or defend your rights or the rights of anybody else or whatever. This is very, very important. Because if you don't, then the chance that you are going to suppress the emotion is going to be too strong. No? In the sense that I don't want people to think, oh, now I'm very spiritual, so I should never be angry and always be nice and gentle, but actually inside I am burning, but I'm not gonna... No. Please, it's very unhealthy. It's like one of the most unhealthy things to do. To keep the anger inside and there it is working. Suppressing it, not expressing it is a very bad thing. If you cannot express your opinion, then express it in anger. Okay, that's a little bit like what anger is for. But better even if you can express yourself without getting angry. Well in advance. So this is important. Now, when we're talking about suppression of emotions, there's some confusion that people think that you can suppress your emotion into your subconscious mind so that you are completely unaware of it. But this is actually untrue. The only thing you can suppress in your subconscious is memory. So, for example, you have a child, and in childhood something really bad happened. The child got very afraid, and it became so big that it could not handle it, and it pushed it deep down in the subconscious mind and forgot about it completely. But that is not the emotion which is put inside. That is just the memory, because the emotion will still be there. That child, maybe as an adult, will discover he is fearful, always, very uncertain of himself, because deep down there is still this buried memory linked to that emotion. No? So the emotion, if you are suppressing the emotion, it just means you are not expressing it, but it is still very much inside you working. And I don't mean inside in your subconscious, but inside in your thoughts, in your feelings about situations and things. So if I say you should not suppress your emotions, it means either express it or really get rid of it. Really work with it in such a way that you get rid of it. And the most difficult thing in case of anger is to forgive. Something happened, somebody did something wrong. Okay. You have to learn how to forgive it. So this is another subject, forgiveness. Now, to really understand it, you should all now a little bit think about something you did wrong. In your life, we all did do things wrong, right? Everybody makes mistakes. Just remember what you did wrong. You don't have to tell it. And now you ask yourself, did I want to do that or not? Did I want to do that really bad thing or not? And you will find you did not want to do it. You just did not see any alternative. So you may have been doing it very consciously, but at that time you thought it was the best thing to do. This is true for everybody. This is always like that. Nobody is a demon. Nobody is bad. Nobody does bad because they want to do bad. They're only doing bad things for two reasons: ignorance or lack of control. Either they're just not understanding properly what should be done, having the wrong idea about it, or they know what should be done, but somehow or other they could not make themselves do it, and they did something else because they don't have control over themselves. These are the two reasons. So I'll explain it because it's a difficult subject. I'll explain it with an example of my cats. So I have 4 cats, and I'm used to giving them some food, special like treat in the evening around 5 or something. And so whenever in the afternoon I come in the kitchen, they start, walking around and making sound, and maybe even like walking in front of me so that I almost fall over them, so that I remember to give them the food. Now, in the case of the cats, because this goes on every day, it's a little irritating, you could say, because at that moment maybe I have to start cooking, or I have to do this and that, and I have not forgotten, but I first want to do something else, but they are there and they just don't let me. So then it's easy to forgive, because with the cats you can think, oh well, they don't understand. I usually give this food around 5, but they can't read the clock, so they don't understand. So they are ignorant. This is the first reason why we find it easy to forgive them, because they are ignorant. They just think it is time. But then, okay, I can say, well, this has been going on for such a long time. They can be cats, but they are not that stupid that to think that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon it is already 5 o'clock. No, they don't read the clock, but they have some clock inside, some biological clock. They know more or less what time it is. They know it is too early, and still they do it, even at 3 o'clock when I come into the kitchen. So then I have found the second reason, which is also not so difficult to forgive. They know it is not yet time, but they cannot stop themselves from trying to get it already. They have been maybe thinking about it since the morning, about this food, and so they see me and they think, oh, now. And they, try. So they have no control. Either they don't understand, or they have no control. And truly with people, this is just a thing. Think, a friend of you maybe visits you in your house, you do a nice chat and everything, and then he goes, and afterwards you look in your wallet, and there was maybe 200 euros there, and it is gone. And nobody else came in the house, so he must have taken it. So a bad thing. But then you have to think yourself, why did he do that? Why did he do it? Obviously because he thought it was the best thing to do. That's very obvious. Why else would you do something if you don't think it is the best thing to do? For you. He must have needed that money. He must have needed that money so badly that he thought that taking it was better than, losing me as a friend, which is of course the consequence. So somehow he got this strange thinking in his mind, stupid thinking in his mind, that there was no alternative. He could have just asked me. If he needed that money, maybe, he's a gambler or something, and he needs to pay some criminal some money back, and thinks they're going to kill me if I don't, so I'm going to steal it. No, he could just have asked it, and if he would have explained it, I would have probably given it to him. No, because he's a friend. But he didn't because, well, maybe he was ashamed about it. No? So and then we touch on the other thing. Maybe he knew that it wasn't the right thing to do, but still couldn't stop himself from doing it because of some feeling, some other, more subconscious thing, some shame or something, and it just happened. No? So in that way, even the worst criminal, and it's a little difficult to understand, thinks he is doing the right thing. Even though you can say he's crazy, sure, to think that. But even the worst criminal thinks he is doing the right thing. He knows it is morally wrong what he is doing. Sure, otherwise it's really stupid. No? Most criminals, when they break into a house, they know this is not something to be done. But they still have some story about it. They still have something in their mind that tells them, okay, it's probably wrong to just steal people's money because they have to work hard for it, and I, take it, and but okay, whatever excuse is there in their mind, they have some story. They have some story about it, and they believe this story to be right. Why would they do it if they believe it would be wrong for them to do it? Right. So I'm not thinking about right and wrong in the sense of morally right and wrong. They are thinking when they do it that it is the right thing to do for them. That they maybe have the right to do it because they think everybody is a thief. So they are just not admitting to it. At least I admit that I am a thief. Some people like that exist. So if you understand that, and especially as I said, if you go into your own history, look at the things you've done wrong and why you did it, you will understand that you did not really want to do it. Even if you did it very consciously, even if very consciously you hurt somebody, which can happen, you still thought at that some time that was what you had to do. Maybe you were feeling like you needed revenge, an eye for an eye, things like that. This is a very deep feeling which comes inside you, and you'll go a little bit crazy. So this actually you also get in a court case. No? If you have a criminal in court, then also they're going to look, okay, what was his childhood, and what was his background, and maybe he wasn't addicted, or maybe he's a psychiatric case, and can't think straight, and all these things. So they will have these same questions, but here we are actually asking a very different question and encountering the same subject. They are asking the question, should we punish him or not? And how much should we punish him? But when you're into trying to forgive, you're not asking how much should I punish him. You're just trying to forgive. So whenever somebody does something bad to you, and you feel that you cannot let go, that this is still going on in your mind, then you really have to sit, do a little whatever meditation that you can do to make yourself a little bit calm, and then look at that, what happened, and try to see what brought this person to do this thing, why it happened, and see that, yes, it was either stupidity or lack of control. It's one of both, and very often it's a combination of both. Very often both go just together. And then it's more easy to forgive that person. That does not mean that you cannot hit him in the face next time you meet him. As I said, that doesn't mean you have to stop fighting, but you can fight without anger. If you think hitting him in the face is necessary, okay, that's a different thing. No? But if you hit him in the face because you're angry, then you're hitting him out of revenge. That's a very different thing. Then you're not hitting him because you think that's a good thing to do. Then you're hitting him because you think you have the right to do it. Of course you have the right to do it. You have the right to be angry. Don't feel that I'm telling you you don't have the right to be angry. The only thing I'm telling you is that you also have the right not to be angry. You have the right not to get involved in all that nonsense and keep your inner peace. And the more you work with yoga, the more your inner peace will become your jewel, your treasure that you have worked for and that you have created and that you don't want to see destroyed. And anger can destroy it very, very rapidly. I said it also in the class on yoga and Ayurveda, that the subtle chemicals that you are building through your meditation and your devotion and all these practices and your pranayams, the tejas and the ojas, they are destroyed very rapidly in anger. This is a big fire which burns everything. Also the good things are burned. So this is not very compatible with spiritual growth.